This is Chesterfield's most iconic landmark, I think. St Mary's and All Saints Church with its twisted spire. And I recently got the chance to climb the internal of the tower for a close-up view of the Crooked Spire and a bird's eye view of Chesterfield. So I'll do a brief history of Chesterfield before I show you the shots of the twisted spire and theories of how it got like it did. Now, there's not a lot known of the prehistoric occupation history of Chesterfield due to the industrial development, but we know that the town grew from a Roman fort into a busy market town. There were traces of Mesolithic occupation found, a few flints and tools, but also discovered were 2 bronzes from the Middle Bronze Age. And during excavations, Anglo-Saxon pottery was found, and the occasional finds of silver coins which hint at the Roman origins before the discovery of the Roman fort in the 1970s. So it seems that during the 1st century AD, a small fort was built on high ground overlooking the Rother Valley, where 2 rivers joined. And Ricknell Street, the Roman road, is thought to pass through the fort. And it's thought that during the 2nd century the fort in Chesterfield may have closed, with the ramparts and defences being levelled, which led to the construction of a mother church in around the 6th or 7th century, and it was constructed in one corner of the site of the former Roman fort, and it's where St Mary's All Saints sits today. And in the mid-9th century, King Edred granted Chesterfield to Uhtred Child, and this is the only pre-Norman mention of the town. Not much is known at all. But the building of Chesterfield Parish Church began in 1234, and it even survived the dissolution of the monasteries, but Cromwell's armies did a great deal of damage in the Civil War. They used it as stables, his army did. During this time, a great deal of the medieval decor was lost and stolen. Now, I think the best evidence of the first church dating back to Anglo-Saxon times is this Saxon font. The font is thought to date back to 890 to 1050. It was removed from a parish church, possibly to safeguard it from the Reformation, or perhaps it was moved during the Civil War years. But the font was rediscovered many years later in 1998, hidden in the vicarage garden. Much of the carving's been lost, but it's still possible to see detailed leaves and foliage crosses. The spire was added in around 1362, and its top is 228 feet from the ground. It is both twisted and leaning. The 45-degree twist causes the tip to lean 9 feet 6 inches off centre. And it's thought to have the greatest lean of any tower in Europe. And in 1817, an inspection noted that loose and rotting timbers inside the spire and the structure being pushed southwards from the upper support beams meant the structure was in danger of collapse. And it was recommended that the entire spire be dismantled. However, it was decided that the spire could instead be repaired. The reason for the twist is still debated today, and suggestions include the Black Death, which occurred as much as about the time the church was being built. And I think experienced workmen may have been short in supply, and the use of insufficient cross bracing and green timber was used. And then there was a 17th century edition of 33 tons of lead sheeting covering the spire. It was resting on the 14th century bracing, not designed to carry such weight. And I think a more recent theory is that sunlight heating the south side of the tower and causing the lead there to expand at a greater rate than the north side, resulting in an unequal expansion. This newer theory was told by the guide who took us up the tower. But it could be due to combination of all three factors. In 1810, a peal of 10 bells was installed in the steeple underneath the spire, which could be heard for 4 miles away in quieter times. In 1861, the church spire was struck by lightning, damaging gaslight pipes in the steeple and igniting a beam next to the wooden roof of the chancel. The fire smouldered for 3.5 hours before it was discovered. A further fire erupted in 1961, this time engulfing the north of the church. A clerk of the town library noticed the smoke and raised the alarm, enabling firefighters to save the church. Now, I'm not very good at heights, so I didn't really enjoy this much. Didn't get as much footage as I'd like to, but I stuck with it and did what I could. And I'm glad I did, because it was amazing. Now, there are many local folk legends as to why the spire is so twisted, mostly involving the devil. In one, it's about a bowls-over blacksmith who misshod a hoof of the devil, and he leapt over the spire in pain and angry, kicked it out of shape. Another states that the devil was resting on the spire when the smell of incense wafted up from inside the church, and it made the devil sneeze so violently that it caused the spire to warp. But one of the more humorous versions is that the church was so surprised to see a virgin being married in Chesterfield, the spire turned to have a look at the betrothed, becoming stuck as it was. And it goes on to say that should another virgin ever marry in the church, the spire will return true again. Oh, there they are, look. Remains of the Roman pillars. I wouldn't have seen them if I hadn't come closer, would we? Remains of a Roman temple.